Show live. Today we'll be talking about Gargoyles, Disney Gargoyles, the entire show Gargoyles. Season 3 is not out yet, like on DVD yet. Who knows? It seems like they're. This was released in 2004. This was 14, so maybe we'll get a new release of a season this year. Who knows? Not holding my breath, of course. But yeah, I watched season 3 on Disney Plus, and that's kind of the only way you can watch it, unless maybe you have it on iTunes. Let's talk about it. So, Disney Gargoyles, for those who do not know, is about this group of gargoyles. So, in 1994, 1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was an age of darkness, and it was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. Goliath, Hudson, Broadway, Brooklyn, Lexington, and Bronx are 6 gargoyles who survive essentially kind of a massacre on their castle in medieval Scotland. Basically, they survive in 994. They survive kind of just because they weren't there. They survived their entire race being massacred at that castle by Vikings, and of course they get cursed into basically living immortality for the rest of time in stone until the castle can raise above the clouds. Well, Xanatos, who's kind of a Trump guy, he's obviously, I think, maybe was modeled after Trump. I would imagine, or, well, were there any other, billionaires in the 90s? Maybe Steve Jobs, I don't know. He was modeled after some, Lex Luthor type of billionaire. He is like, well, you want to know what? I like this castle. I'm going to put it up on top of my big New York skyscraper. So that's where he put it, brick by brick, basically. And, yeah, the gargoyles are brought back to life. They befriend a police officer named Elisa Maza, and that kicks off a whole host of fairy tale adventure series that has medieval elements. I'm gonna finally move this. I'm gonna move. That's paperwork stuff for my business. I'm gonna officially. You can see the table now. For those who don't know, you aren't here for the first time I recorded here. This is my office from work. Hello, new viewer. This is my office at work, if you don't know. Yeah, so that's basically the premise. These guys were in Scotland, now they're in New York, and they're going to protect the world. And yeah, this is a really great show. I think it's arguable that. Thank you for subscribing. I think it's arguably a great show. But it is genuinely a good old 90s Disney cartoon. Like I said, it has fairy tale elements. It has Shakespearean elements. Greg Weisman, the creator of the show, is a big hello, Chase. I should probably say your names when I say hello. Is a big Shakespeare guy. He he loves Macbeth and Midsummer Night's Dream and stuff like that, and you can really tell that type of stuff when you watch some of his shows. And while Young Justice doesn't necessarily have a lot of, I think, Shakespearean elements in it, this was a great mixture of the Shakespearean, of the great mixture of the Shakespearean, of the fantasy elements that he usually plays with and stuff like that. It has an amazing voice cast with Keith David and Jonathan David Frakes, the guy who played Riker in Star Trek. It has the late great Ed Asner as Hudson, the old gargoyle who Goliath sort of took the reins from. And it's genuinely just a great show. And I love Deadly Force. I love the like season 1 like finale as well. Season 1 is very much your prototypical first season, but like Deadly Force, forgive me, Deadly Force, The Edge, Her Brother's Keeper, Reawakening, and of course the 5-part Awakening pilot were all really great episodes that kicked off season 1. You have Demona, who's one of the greatest animated television villains like ever. She's played by whoever played Tori, the like ship therapist on Next Generation. There's a lot of Star Trek people actually in the show. Brett Spiner was Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of his few good roles. I'm not really a big fan of Brett Spiner, but like I think he's good as Data and he's good as Puck here. He was a terrible Joker in Young Justice. Bad decision. And they brought him back. Like they literally had like 15 years or like 5 years of being canceled and a whole pandemic, and they brought him back to play Joker. Like, come on, guys. Young Justice crew people? Come on. Yeah, but no, like I think it really does work rather well. And it's all brilliant. You know, it's just a great show. And I think I don't know if it really teaches like history, to be fair, but I think it also had some of those good old-fashioned, you know, Saturday morning cartoon life lessons, you know. Don't play with guns, learn when to ask for help, stuff like that. Season 2, some of my favorite episodes from season 2 are, of course, City of Stone. I started this month off. I actually thought I would do this kind of season by season earlier in the month, and then for my 400th video, or my 400th episode of the show, this is 409, I believe. But I just decided, I'm going to talk about City of Stone for episode 400. I love City of Stone. Those, specifically part 4, or no, part 3. Yeah, specifically part 3, I believe, is my favorite episode of the entire Gargoyles show. But A Lighthouse in the Sea of Time is a pro reading episode. I've never really been big on reading. Here's a little secret for y'all. I'm dyslexic. I'm also autistic, and I think those are kind of connected in some aspects. But I learned how to read by turning on subtitles on movies. Now, I didn't watch like foreign films and read the stuff. No, I like watched English speaking films with subtitles on, and I just accidentally learned how to read. And apparently that's like an actual like thing that they teach now. Apparently, there's like a whole like website, according to Jack Black. I saw him do a TikTok sort of ad for it a few months ago. I was like, that's an actual thing? I'm sure I didn't make it up. I'm sure, like I said, it just accidentally happened. I didn't know I was doing it. But yeah, Jack Black did a TikTok about it, and I was just like, oh, well, it's nice to know other people know about that, because it's a good way to learn how to read, I think. I also love, the Avalon 3-parter as well. And of course, Hunter's Moon, the season 2 finale, is amazing. So City of Stone and Hunter's Moon, I learned this in the commentary for City of Stone. City of Stone and Hunter's Moon were both at one point in time going to be direct-to-video movies based off of Gargoyles. Buena Vista Home Entertainment came to Greg Weisman and company and were like, hey, we want you to make a Gargoyles, movie. Go ahead and figure it out, pitch it to us, and we'll see if we say yes. And City of Stone was supposed to be that, but then it got turned into 4 episodes of the TV show, and then they did it again. They're like, okay, well, we're not doing City of Stone. Come up with some other idea, and pitch it to us, and we'll try to figure out a budget or whatever. And then that was Hunter's Moon. And watching Hunter's Moon, that's the one that feels the most like, I feel like City of Stone is too like just wrapped up in the. I love City of Stone. This is not really a complaint against City of Stone, but I feel like City of Stone is just too wrapped up in the lore of gargoyles. And the lore of this world is insane. Like, it would make Tolkien cry. But like, City of Stone just feels like it should be a part of the main show proper. That I'm fine with it not being the movie. And Hunter's Moon, which is the season finale, which was on this DVD, took them 10 years to come out with Volume 2. But, because Volume 1 and Season 1 came out in 2004, for those who don't know. And then, of course, you have this. And this is like a standard, old, 10 years ago Disney type of DVD. It looks like how you saw Rebels. And actually, the menus and the way the episodes are spaced out when you push play feel exactly like Rebels to me, which is fine. It's from that era. Hopefully we get a season 3 release. But yeah, I love season 1 and 2, and this leads me into into the second half of season 2. This show, I think, the final 3 episodes, I gotta set this up. So Avalon is set up as like a utopia, basically, kind of. Avalon is where, 100 or 1,000 years ago in Scotland, when the Magus, who was like this wizard guy, basically entrapped our 6 main gargoyles in stone for eternity, was like, okay, look, I'm gonna do this for you, Goliath, so you can be with your brothers. But me and Princess Katharina, we'll take the gargoyles to like her uncle or whatever, and we'll watch over these hatchlings. They do that. Her uncle's house turns out not to be super safe, so they go on and they end up arriving in Avalon. Avalon is this mysterious magical island somewhere around the UK, and that's where King Arthur is sleeping after, I'm sure, what was the end of the King Arthur legend in real life. I'm sure after the King Arthur legend happens, or the way it's supposedly happens in real life happens, I'm sure he's taken Avalon, is what happens within the I will say, as a person who's vaguely interested in the legend of King Arthur, it is very strange that man exists both as a possible historical figure and a fictional person who could be an amalgamation of like 3 different dudes. The history of Arthur is crazy. For those who don't know, and I highly recommend you, if you don't, King Arthur it could be fun to learn about that guy, assuming he's real. But so he's sent there to Avalon, and then of course King Arthur is sleeping there in Avalon, and of course the Magus, the princess, and Tom, who's like a little boy who kind of loosely befriends the gargoyles before they ultimately get turned to stone. They all end up on Avalon, and the hatchlings are born there. I don't know how much I want to spoil, but basically some shenanigans go down. Goliath, Elisa, and Bronx go to Avalon to help stop the evil sorcerer from the gargoyles' time back in Scotland. And they're like, okay, well, let's go back to New York, I guess. And of course, the princess and Tom are like, well, you can't just simply go back to the main world, to the mainland. You have to go to other places in the world and then get to where you want to go. Just take this boat. It's very simple. And then that leads us down I want to say like 20 episodes. It goes from episode 24 to like, I want to say 50, so 20 episodes. What precedes in volume 2 are 20 episodes, the first 2 discs, or maybe even the first, or maybe even disc 1 to disc 3, the first 2 discs of this volume, world tour, and even like 3 episodes, 3 of the last episodes on this DVD, the world tour, where we go to like Japan and Guatemala and like all these different countries just to see what gargoyles are like there. We go to like Canada at one point. Now, I've loved this show my entire life. As I said in my review of City of Stone from the beginning of this month, which I highly recommend you go and watch. I'll link it in the description once I'm done doing all this. So people watching this in the future can go. And thank you for watching this. If you're watching this live or if you watch this later, of course, thank you. And thank you for the people who have liked and for the people who have subscribed. Anywho, I've loved this show my entire life, and in 2004, for some reason, my parents, who I love, got me this show. The season 1 and volume 1 of season 2. I'm sure I probably watched it on TV. This show's a little older than me, but I'm sure they just got it for me because I watched it on TV and it was on Walmart shelf. Well, then 10 years later, in 2014, I rediscovered these 2 volumes, these 2 sets. And I'm like, oh, this show's amazing. Is there another volume? Is there a volume 2? There was a volume 2, and it was a little pricey for a 15-year-old with no job and no money. Thankfully, just recently, at the end of last month, I saw that this was discounted at the price of $15. It probably still is at the discounted price of $15. So I highly recommend you get this and maybe try to get your hands on these other volumes, or just watch this on Disney Plus. No judgment. And I was like, okay, perfect. I get to this set of episodes, this volume here, and the world tour. I understand what they were trying to do, especially since there's an actual bonus feature on this DVD. There's no bonus features. No bonus features at all. No commentaries, no intro, like no introductions by frickin' like Greg Wiseman, nothing. It's literally just like, hey, here's a DVD. You got subtitles. You probably have different languages. No, you don't. No, it's the standard. It's English subtitles, English audio, full screen, aspect ratio. Have fun with this. And this is a good DVD. I will most certainly be watching if I ever revisit the show. I've been revisiting the show for like the last 10 years, just watching City of Stone. I'm absolutely going to also watch Hunter's Moon as like a 2-part movie, because Hunter's Moon and City of Stone are actually very much connected, which we'll get to in like a few minutes. But then you have the World Tour, and the World Tour is just so like monotonous, because we go to basically every place you could imagine, and some places you don't imagine. So like Egypt, we go to Egypt. We go to London. Did we go to Paris? I forget if we go to Paris. We probably go to Paris. Alaska at one point. No, Canada, forgive me. Although they use the Canadian episode as a way to touch on Native Americans and how in this universe Native Americans could have possibly honored. Egypt is actually the Egypt episode is actually quite good. That's not, but. And the Canada episode's pretty good too. It's a way of them being like, okay, the totem poles that Native Americans carved, probably gargoyles, and it works. And the Egypt episode is good. You're right, Nicholas A. Shaw. It is. What episode did I not like? I forget what one it's the one right before. So there's one where we see. We also go to Africa. And that Africa episode is pretty good, but there's a giant spider at the end because the giant spider is like the main villain of the Africa episode. And that, I'm sorry, I love Spider-Man, but I'm also kind of arachnophobic. So when that, like, the second Harry Potter movie, as a kid, I always had to skip the part of the second Harry Potter movie where the giant spider shows up. So, like, I was just like, oh my, this is giving me this is gonna not be good for my psyche later when the giant spider showed up in the Africa episode. But no, the Africa episode's pretty good. But I think it's right in between, whatever episode is right in between the episode where we see where Elisa Maz's like dad grew up in what's it called? In Nevada or Arizona. Wherever her dad grew up, and wherever in the episode where they go to Japan, that episode, wherever that episode is my personal least favorite. I'm gonna Google it right now. Is my least favorite episode of the whole World Travels. And by Japan, I was kind of feeling oh, this whole world tour thing has kind of ran its course. And I feel like it's 20 episodes of a 52 episode season, and it's really impressive that this show, this little Gargoyles show from the 90s, got a 52 episode second season that basically aired every day from the fall of 95 to the summer of 96. That's really cool that they were able to do that. But that being said, I don't know. I think the world tour just kind of ran its course at some point, or overstayed its welcome at some point, and that kind of stinks. Let's go to IMDb. But yeah, let's talk about because I already talked about City of Stone. So like I said, I highly recommend you go check out my City of Stone review if you have not seen that one yet. Because talking about City of Stone more in depth there, but kind of more in depth. But so City of Stone, let's go to episode 2, or season 2. So City of Stone has the Hunter. Now the Hunter in City of Stone is Macbeth, who's also a really good villain in this show, played by John Rhys Davies. Macbeth was, the King of Scotland. This villain is based off of the actual Shakespearean guy, the guy that the Shakespeare plays based off of Macbeth. And his cousin, Duncan, who at one point becomes king, takes the mantle of the Hunter from this guy called Gilcungame. Gilcungame had a vendetta against Damona. Very understandable. Damona's kind of a witch. Well, he wants revenge on her, but Damona kills Gilcungame, and Duncan decides, you know what? I'm going to become the Hunter. So he passes. Prince Duncan, King Duncan at one point, Prince Duncan passes his Hunter mantle to his son Malcolm, and then of course Malcolm carries that Hunter mantle throughout the next 1,000 years or next 10 centuries, from the 10th century to the 20th century, as different descendants of King Duncan hunt down Damona through different points in time. Well, in 1980, his second to last descendant, who is the father of Jason, I forget the daughter's name, and John, are all oh hey, we're here in New York, and we're gonna Hunter's Moon. This is Hunter's Moon. We're in New York, and we're now going to kill. And we're gonna now kill Demona. And of course, Demona is going to try to once again wipe out the entire human race with a potion. So, and she needs the Hunter's Moon for that. So the Hunter's Moon is like a actual thing that Demona is going to use to kill humans, and it's also referring to the hunters themselves. And of course, now Goliath and company have to stop Demona from doing it. Now, I have found the episode. So there's the Eye of the Storm, where they have to fight Odin and make sure that he doesn't get his Eye of Odin back. That one just kind of felt like it was going on. And then, like, the New Olympians. Those are, like, two of, like, I think the weakest episodes of the World Tour. They're episodes 36 and 37. This is, like, 10 episodes into the World Tour. And, yeah, I got sick of it. The Sentinel episode. The one where they go to Easter Island, literally the episode right after Africa was so terrible. But no, the Egypt episode was good. Like, half of these are good. Half of the 20 World Tour episodes are good. But, like, there's some other ones that weren't good. But yeah, so yeah. But yeah, but hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about and stuff. But yeah, so Hunter's Moon is that, and it was supposed to be a movie. I can totally see it. Because, yeah, like, it has some big reveals in it. And, yeah, like, I loved Hunter's Moon. After hearing about it in the commentary for City of Stone, and just being like, I wonder what Hunter's Moon's like. Hunter Moon most certainly did not disappoint me as a lifelong fan of the show Gargoyles. That, of course, all being said, it didn't, like, disappoint me any, but it was most certainly a thing of like, this is a really good, Hunter's Moon was a really good finale to the second season, and it was able to sort of wrap everything up, like, if you had to get, like, an essential episodes list of season 2, City of Stone would absolutely be a part of it. But, like, Hunter's Moon basically wrapped up that essential list pretty well. And I wouldn't necessarily I would basically be like, look, just watch all 52 episodes. It's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, like, it's really good. And then that leads us into season. And of course, I'm not going to talk about everything. I kind of want... This is a show. This is basically a review about me recommending you the show. I am going to slightly spoil some things, but this show is highly recommended. It's Greg Weisman's probably best, like, show ever. I love Spectacular Spider-Man. I love the first season of Young Justice, and I think season 4... Well, season 2 was just a little muddled, and then I think 3 was just terrible, and 4 was able to sort of go back to basics. But this really is Greg Weisman's best show. And hopefully this year, maybe season 3 or just the complete series gets released on DVD from Disney. But season 3 is a show or is the season where Greg Weisman was kind of fired. Greg Weisman wanted to go. So after 52 episodes, Disney was like, yeah, this whole Gargoyles thing, from what I remember, this whole Gargoyles thing was just kind of like ran its course. People aren't really interested anymore. Let's just have this one final season and just kind of like have it out there, Let's just push it out there and, have it in the show the best way we can. Greg Weisman didn't necessarily like the direction that Disney wanted to go in, so they fired him after he wrote the first episode. And season 1, or season 3, is about... So at the end of season 2, the Gargoyles are found out, and now there's basically a group, basically the KKK. There's a Klansman group of people in hoods and hammers, like electric hammers, who go around and want to smash the Gargoyles. because they don't like the Gargoyles. And of course, David and Co. can't have any of that. In Avalon, we also met Goliath's daughter, Angela. I like Angela. She's the daughter of Goliath and Demona. You know what? I think she was a good character. She was absolutely right to put the boys in her place, or in their place, and not have her be called Angie. Angie is the name of an old white lady. I like Angela personally better. No offense to the Angie of Angie's List, but Angie just sounds like you're like your friend Gunther's like old white grandma, you know? Angie's not fun. Angie is at home knitting a sweater for her 14 cats and counting, you know? But yeah, Angela, good character. And season 3, I think, you know, I'm a guy who tries to keep it positive. I've always tried to look for the positive. And I will say, even though season 3 is obviously a step down in, like, I think writing quality, even that first episode that Greg Weisman wrote, it's not the worst thing I've seen him it's not the worst thing he's written. That honor goes to Catwoman Hunted. But you can definitely tell that there was a step down in at least writing quality. But the animation is still basically the same. Disney Plus, I don't know if this was really something that happened in the original broadcast, but on Disney Plus, Elisa's, like, her red, like, leather jacket did have some, like, weird discoloration in the first couple episodes of season 3. I don't know if that was listed as a Disney Plus thing or if that was something that happened when it originally aired, but it was just, like, kind of noticeable. It was only 3 episodes, but yeah, it's pretty good, and it's definitely weird to go from, like, a 20 or a 52 episode season full of lore and character building to going back to 13 episodes like the first season. But you know what? I think they did a good job, and they did a good job, I think, at basically wrapping up everything, you know. Thalog, they deal with him. They deal with the humans who you know, the human mutates who, you know, are these who are actual humans who Xanatos tries to recreate gargoyles. So he takes humans and he, like, mutates them into, like, these, like, giant like cats, you know, like lions and panthers and tigers and stuff like that. He mutates humans into, like, those giant humanoid lions with, like, wings and stuff like that. Although only one of them's a lion. And it like, they cover that, and, like, it's actually a pretty good, like, wrapping up season from a show that Disney was obviously just kind of like, you know, get out of the way. We got to make more, you know, TV shows based off of movies, you know? And, you know, that's always how Disney's been. And I just love this show, man. I love it so much. The season finale, the series finale, which I just finished literally a few minutes, like 10 minutes before clicking record, was honestly, I think, pretty good. I think it does a good job at wrapping up the big thing from this show, which was, will humans finally accept gargoyles? It did a good job at answering that question, and it's actually a quite touching finale and quite a touching conclusion of a show that I think wore its heart on its sleeve. It very much loved fantasy and old, like, English literature and stuff like that, and I think it really showed. And this is a good show. My big complaint about the world tour, that besides it just kind of overstaying its welcome, was that it was mainly just about Goliath, Angela, Elisa, and Bronx, a character who can't talk, he's basically a dog, going around the world. and we very rarely touched base in New York, you know. And I don't watch this show just because of Goliath. I watched it. My favorite Gargoyles are Hudson and Broadway, and those characters were missing throughout the world tour. Now, of course, we did have like, I think like 3 episodes where those characters like show where the New York characters came back. Granted, they stayed in New York and they didn't have any communication really with our main characters, but it just felt like, oh, something was missing. And I think that, I don't know, if this show, I don't want this show to get rebooted. I know there was like a rumor a few years ago, like I think before the pandemic, that like they were going to maybe try to bring this show, or maybe it was 2021, that they were going to try to bring this show back. They were going to do a live action remake of this show for Disney Plus, I think. And I'm sorry, I just thought that was a bad idea. I would probably have given it a chance, you know, kind of like the iCarly reboot. I watched that first season, but then I was like, nah. And I'm always willing to give something a chance. You know, go look at my Acolyte review. I watched the first 4 episodes of the Acolyte and decided it wasn't for me. The High Republic era, just in general, I feel like really wasn't made for me. And I'm happy that there are people who enjoy those books. I love the Jedi Fallen Order Survivor series, and that does something with the High Republic era that I actually kind of enjoy. So I can enjoy the High Republic era that way, but like I'm not really a big fan of the High Republic era, as I've said just a bunch of times now. And I think that is and that's okay. I don't have to love everything. If a spade's a spade, I'll call it a spade. But I usually just try, just as a personal thing, I usually try to stay positive in life and on this channel. And yeah, I recommend Gargoyles. And if there ever is another inkling of a remake, let's not do it in live action. And I mean, I'm even okay if you do something like DuckTales, where it's made by a group of dudes who obviously love the original show and just want to make it better. You know, I'd be fine with that. But I would rather maybe see a continuation of this. Maybe. But if we have to bring this back, make it animated, and possibly just get people who have a reverence for this material. You know, go out and get people who have like English majors. Now, I don't know if Greg Weisman has an English major. Greg Weisman, of course, has talked many a times about loving Shakespeare, and it's evident in his shows. But get people with English majors. Get people liking DuckTales equals liking Gargoyles. Oh, that's a good question. I'll finish my point I was making. You know, get people with like English majors. Get people who understand Shakespeare and maybe can, you know, do something like that to help write scripts. Obviously, don't have those people make the show because the show might be stuffy. But you know, have those people, you know, do something with the show. What I meant by that is, this is what I mean. It is obvious that the people who made the 2017 DuckTales reboot loved the original show DuckTales. So what I'm saying is go out and find someone who loves Gargoyles as much as those guys liked DuckTales. So, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that... Now, and I love the reboot DuckTales a lot more than the original DuckTales. But, you know, just because it's more my sensibilities. You know, DuckTales, the original cartoon, was just kind of like existed, and the reboot was an adventure series. I obviously like adventure series. But, I mean, just find someone who loves the original Gargoyles as much as those guys seem to love the original DuckTales. That's what I mean. Did I clear that up, or does that still not make any sense? Talk to me. Dr. Me A. Shaw. Nicholas A. Shaw. Okay, I'm just gonna hope that I clarified myself. But yeah, no, I mean, like, get someone who, you know, or like, what's another example I can use? Like, John Favreau is a great storyteller and loves Star Wars, so he was at least the perfect guy to make that first Mandalorian season. So like that. I mean, something like that, or, you know, just get somebody with a passion for the project and let them fly. Or hell, I wouldn't even say no to someone like Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy, not a Star Wars fan, but he was just he's a really great storyteller, a really great writer. So he made Andor amazing. So, you know, like, you don't have to get a fan, but get someone, I guess just get someone talented is what I'm trying to say. Whether that talented person is a fan of Gargoyles or is a fan of medieval literature like Shakespeare, I don't know, but just, I guess, get someone talented and we'll figure out the rest. So that is it for now. Like I said many times, I do highly recommend the show. I recommend you go check out my review of City of Stone. This is kind of a part 2 of that. So if you find this video, yeah, go check that out. If if you haven't, I'm assuming you Nicholas A. Shaw. I'm assuming you're kind of maybe you're a little shaky. I'm assuming you're kind of 50-50 on what I'm saying, but hopefully, hey, in the actual comments proper, just give me a second, because when I finish this live stream, it's going to go to like making this a private thing. So just give me a few seconds to, when I finish the live stream, unprivate this live stream so we can have a comment or a conversation in the comments proper of this video. Yeah, that's it for now. So remember that God made you special. He loves you very much. I hope you had a very lovely day. I hope you had a very lovely weekend or week. I had a very busy week. This week should be less busy, less reviews. If you have not checked out my Godzilla -1 review, please check that out. You know, it's a really great, like, sort of editing thing. You know, it is a good series. Mr. Shaw, it is a good series. But yeah, so just comment below. Let me know what is your favorite episode of this show. Like I said, mine is City of Stone Part 3. I also love A Lighthouse in the Sea of Time, which is the pro reading episode. I love Deadly Force, and I love, of course, Hunter's Moon. I don't usually do this, but it's so new. I kind of like all the parts, honestly. But yeah, so comment below, let me know. And if you like this, also let me know that. So remember that God made you special. He loves you very much. I hope you're having a very lovely day. And as always, God bless you all.